Hello. This march for Palestine or Gaza or Rafah or whatever it was called, it's like one of those smorgasbords. I'm sorry if you're in Scandinavia right now and I'm mispronouncing smorgasbord. But anyway, you know those things where you go and there's all these dishes laid out and you're not entirely sure where to start. Well, that's what this march to Gaza is like, because it is a veritable banquet, a feast, a saturnalia of stupid. And so I'm going to go through a few little things. I'm going to go through a few little things and just point them out to you. It might be a bit disjointed. I've tried to make some sort of logical progression out of it, but quite frankly, there's no way of making logical progression out of a totally irrational situation. All you can do is look for themes, so that's what I'm going to do. So this was an article in Reuters. That's a really nice piece of design, I might say. I like it. It's beautiful, it's well balanced, you know, speaking from an artistic point of view. The colours are nice, it's lovely, and it's complete nonsense. But yeah, well, that's something else. Cairo, June the 17th, from Reuters, organisers of a march to the Egyptian border with Gaza said on Tuesday that 3 participants were abducted by plainclothes officers in Cairo amid a wave of arbitrary detentions, deportations and abuse by security forces. Well, you know, that's Egypt. I'm surprised only 3 were abducted, actually. And as you progress through this video, if you don't know anything about Egypt already, you will know by the end of it that only 3 abductions is a very surprisingly low number. So I'm going to start with somebody who obviously knows something about the area. I think she must have been to Egypt before. And she's talking about the fiasco, but she's talking about it from her point of view. Of course, she's not calling it a fiasco. So let's get this a bit bigger so you get the full effect. They do a bit of house cleaning every so often and clean you out. Also, click the notification button. That helps to keep you in the loop. Right, what's it? Like, subscribe, notifications, share, and if you want to contribute financially to this channel, that does help me. At least it helps my horses. And yeah, I have to say, you know, it's not like I own a string of racers. I own 1 horse I ride, and I have a horse I rescued that I'm looking after. Okay, right. Well, there you are. So let's get on with the madness after Granniopteryx has done her roaring. All right, well, I know it's not strictly fair to take a bit of a video and freeze it and then say that's what the person is like. I know it's not fair, but I can't resist this. That is the opening of, I'm not freezing it somewhere midway. This is how she opens it. And somehow that look in her eyes doesn't appear to me to be entirely rational. But then, of course, it's just the start of the video. It's a 6 minutes, you see here, 6 minutes long. I'm not going to subject you to all of this. So I'll be playing it for myself, but I'll cut it up while I'm editing it for you. So you don't have to see too much of it, just to get an idea of what this lady is talking about.
Everybody safe, all's good, alhamdulillah.
Oh, I can't resist that. I have to say something about it. First of all, notice that, well, of course, the keffiyeh, but also the jewellery she's wearing. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So she's got some native jewellery she's wearing on her wrist. And then she said, Hamdulillah, which means sort of, God be praised. This is a European woman Oh, can you hear the dog? Somebody at the door. I'll be back. The postman. He always brings treats for the dog. So since we never feed the dog, of course, the dog is very excited when the postman turns up. All right. So, here's a Western woman. She's wearing a keffiyeh and some native jewellery. And instead of saying thank God for bless it, whatever she wants to thank God for, she has to say alhamdulillah. You can see capture there, I suppose. All right, let's carry on.
Everybody's safe, all's good, alhamdulillah. The police basically stopped every single car that wasn't Egyptian. They stopped every car and asked for ID, and if you weren't Egyptian, you got separated. The way that they treated people was absolutely disgusting. For me, it was different because I've been here so many times, which is how I knew how to avoid being kettled in. But imagine how scary it is. People that have just been here for the first time, you're in a new country, you don't speak the language, and you're just confronted by aggressive police, and all you're doing is literally travelling around the country. It was appalling. It was absolutely appalling. So they lied profusely as well. Like the Egyptian government, the Egyptian police are so sneaky. We say not to trust the police in the UK, and whilst I still stand by that, but the Egyptian police, man, they are another level. They lie through their teeth, so you never ever believe them. They basically kept tricking people, and they took everybody's passport. There were some people that said that they were happy to turn around and go back to Cairo there and then, but the police refused to give them back their passports because they just like to intimidate. The Egyptian police, they literally like to stand there clutching their guns like this, looking really fierce and eyeballing you because they just love to intimidate. They love to intimidate you. Then they tricked people. They told people if they wanted their passport, they had to come to this area. This was at the first toll road, so they pulled everybody in. They then put up a barrier and started trapping people. So I had two that came up to me and told me that I needed to come and collect my passport. And I just told them that I wasn't going there. And they put their arms up to try and stop me. And I just told them I didn't want my passport. I said, I don't want my passport, you can keep my passport. And I moved very quickly. And I went and stood down the bottom end as far away as I could because I knew they weren't getting their passports back. In our toll road, it wasn't so bad, but we had two people who passed out from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, had to be taken away by paramedics. Because they left us for hours. It was midday. It was sweltering heat, and they left us with no air seat outside. There was no shelter. It was just
okay. She's talking about how there's no shelter, and people were left out. They were getting heat stroke and all the rest of it. And that was, I don't know where they were, maybe Ismailia or somewhere like that. If it's as bad as that within the Egyptian territory, imagine what it's like in the Sinai desert. Now, I'm going to give you some shots of the Sinai desert now. I'm going to put a few of those in just to show you what the Sinai desert is actually like. And this was taken from a travel diary. And I'm going to leave the URL of the travel diary. It's really interesting. So just a minute. I'm going to switch cameras now. This is a nice view from here. Some rocks. You'll see quite a few of those. Yeah, this looks here like the remains of a deserted village, possibly Nabatean. They did settle in the Sinai desert quite heavily at one time when possibly the atmospheric conditions were a little more clement. This, the traveller says, is the view from the top of Mount Sinai. You can see the Sinai there spread out in front of you from that elevation. Okay, so have I conveyed to you what the Sinai desert looks like from all of these? All right, let's get back to the lady. And she was talking about terrible conditions in the town, in an urban area. So at least there you can get bottled water. As you will have noticed, there was a singular undersupply of bottled water in the photographs that I just showed you. Right, let's carry on.
And then they came in all of a sudden without any notice. They began grabbing people very violently, very physically, throwing them on the buses. They told them that they were taking them to downtown Cairo, and they told some that they were taking them to the airport. But what they actually did was they just randomly dropped them all across Cairo, 5 at a time, in groups of 5, and just dropped them. Some of these people had no money, couldn't get a taxi, and were literally stranded in the middle of Cairo. Like, can you believe that? So obviously it's a case of, when you're in Egypt, it's very much, if you have money, then you're okay. You can buy your way out of anything. The Egyptian police, if you want anything from the Egyptian police, pay them. You could probably go and murder somebody in front of the Egyptian police, and if you paid them, they would turn a blind eye. That is how corrupt they are. It's really, truly disgusting.
And yet this woman doesn't see how the same characteristics that she is complaining about in Egypt pertain to Gaza. And I'm going to show you why. This is from a TV broadcast on Egyptian television, and it's the Hamas Minister of the Interior at the time, this was in 2012, and of National Security, Fatih Hamad, slamming Egypt, it says here, over fuel shortage in Gaza Strip, and saying half of the Palestinians are Egyptians and the other half are Saudis. So let's see. I wanted to start at minute 112. Let's go to that. He mentions the Battle of Hattin. And the Battle of Hattin was a famous one where the Crusaders got walloped by the Saracens who were invading the area. And basically that was the end for the Crusaders. So they remember battles that happened over 1,000 years ago. We don't remember battles that happened in the Second World War, do we? Anyway, he talks about the Battle of Hattin. I'll read out what he says for those of you who are just listening to this vlog. And on the land of Palestine, the Battle of Hattin was waged. The West does not want this noble history to repeat itself. Because the Jews and their allies would be annihilated. The Zionists, the Americans and the imperialists. Al-Aqsa and the land of Palestine represent the spearhead for Islam and for Muslims. Just let that sink in. Palestine is the spearhead for Islam. He's saying that there. Therefore, when we seek the help of our Arab brothers, we are not seeking their help in order to eat, to live, to drink, to dress, or to live a life of luxury. No. When we seek their help, it is in order to continue to wage jihad. This is what Gaza was all about, still is in the minds of some. Allah be praised. We all have Arab roots. Actually, the Egyptians get quite annoyed at being called Arabs, so it's like calling a Scotsman English, you know. And every Palestinian in Gaza and throughout Palestine can prove his Arab roots, whether from Saudi Arabia, from Yemen, or anywhere. This is the Arab world's acknowledgement, or the Egyptian acknowledgement, that the people in Gaza are actually not native to Gaza, because it's well known, I mean, it's well known if you do your reading, that there was an influx of Arabs in the early part of the 20th century. Before the First World War, the Ottoman Empire was stagnating. Economically, it was going nowhere. But because there was an influx of more Jews into the area of Palestine, that is the historical area, which is Jordan and what is now Israel and Gaza, then it was starting a sort of economic revival in that area. So there were people flowing in from Arabia and from Egypt, and one family, the Tamimis, who are quite famous in West Bank politics now, they were from Albania, actually. That's why they're blondes. Right. We have blood ties, he says. So where is your affection and mercy? And then he says, personally, half my family is Egyptian. We are all like that. I mean, this is from the minister in Gaza. More than 30 families in the Gaza Strip are called Al-Masri, which means the Egyptian. Brothers, half of the Palestinians are Egyptians and the other half are Saudis. It's not quite that sort of proportion, but it's pretty high. Who are the Palestinians, he says. We have many families called Al-Masri whose roots are Egyptian. Egyptian! They may be from Alexandria, from Cairo, from Damietta, from the north, from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt, by the way, is what most people who look at maps might think of as Lower Egypt. That is the bits further down the Nile. Egyptians, and this is really quite touching, actually, because the pharaonic Egyptians called the area down the lower part, what we think of as the lower part of the Nile, as Upper Egypt, because they realised that's where the Nile was coming from. So it was coming down from somewhere up. And here, this Muslim 20th century man still calling it Upper Egypt. And that's the grip history has on all of us, I suppose. We're Egyptians, we're Arabs, we're Muslims. We're part of you. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! And then he goes into, the usual mantra, which turns your mind off. You just say Allah Akbar and your mind shuts down. This is the sort of person who is in Gaza. Now, you might say, well, if they're all Egyptians, why aren't the Egyptians taking in their Egyptian brothers? That's another question, because they're not. You have seen in my other videos the wall between, Rafah was a town on the border between Gaza and Egypt. And the the border actually goes through the town of Rafah. The Egyptians flattened their side of Rafah. And then they built a wall it's not just one wall, it's like three sections or maybe more with no man's land areas between them. Mined, I've been given to understand. Mined as in explosive. Okay, right. Let's get back to that woman now. This woman who is all for the people of Gaza then denigrates the people of Egypt, who are not honest, she says, and not honourable. And yet the Gazans are exactly the same stock and the same culture. And she doesn't see the disconnect.
So, in a nutshell, the Egyptian authorities knew that we were coming, all right? But they allowed every single one of us to enter. They allowed all of us to enter Egypt because then they get some money. And then yesterday they basically disbanded people all around Cairo so that they had to spend more money frantically trying to get back. Honestly, it's so... They call themselves Muslims. This is the thing I'm so angry about. To be treated like that by non-Muslim police or non-religious police, it's one thing, but it's disgusting. It's truly, truly disgusting.
No, but that's the point. There is a definite cultural strain in Islam that says that non-Muslims are there to be preyed upon. The jizya is a way of preying upon non-Muslims. You get more money, you extort more money from them because it's your right, because you are Muslim and superior. You are the best of people, as Muhammad said. And anyone who isn't a Muslim is just a resource. You can take their women as slaves and you can tax them and you can beat them up and you won't get the same sort of treatment in the courts as if they tried to fight back. So that's... And she doesn't see this. She can't understand what's going on there, and I can't understand how anyone cannot see this and cannot understand that the treatment they got in Egypt is exactly what is wrong with Gaza as well.
The second checkpoint, the actual checkpoint that people got to, I think they had things a lot rougher from what I'm hearing back. We're okay for now. We're just very, very disappointed. I mean, listen, realistically, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but I've been coming back and forth to Cairo a lot, so I know the Egyptian government, and I didn't think that we would... I was thinking there's a small chance that we will get through because of numbers, and I kept just thinking the fact that we are peaceful, the organisers had... gone through the official channels, they had contacted the Israeli... blah, blah, blah. It's because they seem like Israelis now.
Just like Israelis, she said. I don't know how much actual contact she's ever had with Israelis. I rather suspect not. This is the Israeli that exists in her head. The Egyptians are the Egyptians. She seems... to be telling us that they are unprepared. They were unprepared for what was going on. I'm going to show you exactly how unprepared they were. This is a map put up by one of the marchers, Hasina Kathrada. The map below, she says, shows the path we attempted across Egypt. This is it. From Cairo through the Sinai Peninsula towards Rafah. Rafah? The march was stopped, but the movement continues. The world cannot look away. I want to show you something here. This is where Hasina Kathrada thinks they are going. Before I show you the map of Sinai, I'm going to point something out to you. The Suez Canal is there. This area here. Arish is here. Rafah is here. What they are doing is going along Route 50 and 55. I mean, that's Route 55 up to there. It's not shown on this graphic here. They were intending to walk across here, Route 50 and then Route 55 to what they thought was Rafah, which is actually the Israeli coastal holiday resort and port of Eilat. It would have been nice to have seen a picture of the survivors of this 250-kilometre trek through the desert, turning up at Eilat. It would have been rather amusing to see those ragged, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, where Clint Eastwood turns up. Well, no, it's not Clint, where Eli Wallach turns up after being in the desert and he sort of sticks his head in the horse trough. Do you remember that? Into some desert town. OK, I'm just going to show you a map of Sinai. OK, here we are. This is the area. They were in Cairo, and I don't know where they got to. Maybe Ismailia. Hasina thought that they were going this way to Rafah. And this is where she would have had them go, past Suez, and then across these mountains, and then down to here. That's where she thought they were walking. This shows how absolutely illiterate, dangerously, of course, life-threateningly illiterate, most of the people on that march were. And the way they were dressed, I mean, it's quite obvious that they thought that this was going to be a stroll along a road equipped with all sorts of cafes, restaurants and truck stops, all the way down to this mythical Rafah that doesn't exist in this area. Well, you saw the pictures of what it's really like. OK, and I'm going to show you how they were dressed in a minute, but let's just finish with this lady first.
They'd asked for permission, they did everything right. So I think there was some hope of us thinking that maybe they might just let us walk because it's peaceful. And the fact that they didn't, it just absolutely 100% confirms that the Egyptian government are fully behind this genocide and fully backing Israel.
You might then ask her, why are they fully backing Israel? First of all, there is no genocide. There's certainly a lot of hardship in Gaza right now, mostly caused by Hamas. But why are the Egyptians backing Israel? In fact, why are the Egyptians enforcing a wall, I have said in another video, that would keep out a zombie apocalypse? She's not... Think, woman. All right, I'm going to show you the sort of people who were on that march. Now, before I start, I want to point out that this fellow here, this Egyptian policeman, is being astonishingly polite, well-mannered and humane, considering the provocation. Now, just look at these people here. These people are dressed for going on a walk in the Sinai desert. Just a minute, I'll just bring up one picture to remind you what the Sinai desert looks like. This here is a view from Mount Sinai, which is a pretty high point, so you get a pretty good view. OK, so look here, I mean, not exactly negotiable, yeah? And here, and then there's a little flat bit here, and then here's another ridge of mountains, and here's another ridge over there in the hazy, sand-filled distance. And these people are dressed for a walk in that. OK, now let's listen to what this policeman has to say.
Everybody listen!
Please listen to me.
Yes, brother, speak.
Can you declare yourself?
Hold on.
He doesn't need to. We are the police and we are announcing.
These guys here are telling that policeman what to do. They are ordering him around in his country. Just look at them. OK, and he is being polite by Western standards, never mind Egyptian standards. Props to him. I'm very impressed. Not bad looking either. Are you supposed to say that?
We are the police and we are announcing through our police, okay? Please respect our country and listen to us. Respect.
Did you hear what he said there? Please respect our country. And these are people who have no respect. Look at this soldier here. I don't know whether it's soldier or the police, but he's looking round. The look in his eyes of just horror, really. Who are these people? What the hell are they there for? In Arabic, of course.
We just asking with politeness. I can go. Listen. I can, with total respect, I can go. Okay.
You can't stay. Okay. This is against this country law. You can't stay there.
So, yeah, he's saying you can't stay here. Just, get back to Cairo or whatever.
We can't stay here. That's
You suppose all respect our country and our law.
Again, he says respect our country and our laws. Listen to the voice from the background coming up soon.
Okay, so your message has been already received. And you can go back and turn back to Cairo. We're supposed to arrange all of that.
We could do it in America.
Okay.
Why can't we do it here?
Did you hear that? We can do it in America. Why can't we do it here? Because of this, you lame brain. He doesn't know that he's in another country. We can do it in America, so why can't we do it here? Because it's Egypt. You are in another country. Give them some respect. They have their laws. And they don't want a bunch of underdressed idiots traipsing about the desert thinking they're taking Route 50 to Rafah, across the middle of the Sinai desert, 250 kilometres at over 40 degrees heat. Yeah, it must be in the middle there. It must be around 45 in June. In June. I mean, if they'd have chosen something like March, maybe, some of them might have survived, but not in June.
What are you doing here? It's against our...
Yeah, he said, what are you doing here? And the answer is nothing at all of any use to man or beast. Okay, right. That's it. I think I'll leave it there. This is what these people think. Well, hang on. Let's go back to the assembled crowd of Western, what do we call them, white saviours, telling that policeman what to do. And the horrified soldier or policeman there looking round and thinking, what are these people here for? And again, the policeman who says, what are you here for? And just look at them. Just look at them. A complete lack of awareness, either of self or of a political situation. But quite good fun, aren't they? Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.